Hey everybody, I'm Dee Lisa. I'm the dream doula for women, and I help you tap into your intuition that comes every night in dreamland so you can live your best life while you're awake. Today I
Hmm.
have Amy. Introduce yourself, Amy.
Thanks so much for having me. Uh, so my name is Amy Kemp. I live near Chicago, and I work with people on clearing up the subconscious habits of thinking that are creating resistance to our progress, to our own creating what it is that we are here to create. And it is sacred work to me. It is work that feels mm, like the thing I was meant to do most of all in this world. And I'm very committed to, I feel most passionate and most like I cannot stand the thought, particularly of women being held back simply by these subconscious habits of thinking.
It's so interesting that you say that, and of course I work mostly with women as well. But what came to my awareness while you were talking, just introducing yourself, is I remember taking my sister, I won't mention which one in case they're listening, to a workshop once, and it was on mindset and on manifesting specifically wealth. And it was at
Mm.
my local church. And I said, "You got to come to this workshop. It's going to be really cool." I heard her talk, and she starts talking. And my sister leans in and says to me, "You don't really believe this shit, do you?" And I said, "Yeah, that's why I invited you." But people are so blocked. They think that they don't believe things that are actually really the way the life
Mm.
works.
It's
And
very
so
true.
part of our blocks we don't see because we're believing something so strongly that that other belief overshadows the real way things work. Do you find that to be
I
true?
do. And I find that most of those beliefs um, are probably in existence because at some point they helped you survive,
Sure.
and we are hardwired to survive. So I find that a lot of people are even self-critical about those beliefs, but I find
Mm,
to myself being more and more compassionate the more I work with people in these areas because I start to understand, oh, I'll give you an example from today, a conversation I had with a client who um, was raised by a parent who is an addict and who really had to parent her siblings and to act as an adult from a very young age. And the
right.
way that she survived was by working harder than everyone else. So she worked so hard and she did a brilliant job of it. The problem is that habit of thinking that hard work is how you survive. Now, when she has built a very successful business and is entering into a season of life where she can slow down and enjoy some of what she's created, right? Some of the wealth she's created, the business she's created. She can buy the car she wants, she can travel. She can't get out of the work. She's just continuing to work because it's like that is how so when she thinks of slowing down, like she said she took the afternoon off and then woke up at 3 a.m. feeling so guilty that she hadn't worked. Because if you think about it, our brains are hardwired to survive. So her subconscious mind is screaming danger at the sight of rest
Yeah.
or of a slower pace, right? So that subconscious thought that's there, those belief systems, those mindsets, probably were there to protect you in some way, to help you fit into your family unit, to protect you from, for women, a lot of times too, it's like not safe for you to be a lot, to have a
Oh,
lot,
yeah.
to
Yeah. To have a lot, to be a lot, to be. I remember as a young woman, my boyfriend's best friend saying to me, "Well, I don't think he would like it if you made more money than he did." And I was in
mm,
college,
mm,
and I remember thinking, "Oh, I just took that as true. Oh, is that true? I shouldn't make more money than my guy.
Yeah.
I shouldn't shine more than my guy. I shouldn't be so big or be seen. I also believe that there's in the collective consciousness, so maybe even before we were born,
Mm,
women being seen was dangerous because maybe we were witches and
mm.
we were killed for being so bright and shiny and healing people. So
Oh,
being seen
absolutely.
is like, oh, is it safe to be seen? Is it safe to be big? Is it safe
Mm-hmm.
to be a healer?
A hundred
Maybe
percent.
it's not okay. Maybe I mean, and obviously, not everyone who's seen is going to get killed for it, but that might be the real fear.
Absolutely. Also think women were safe when they were attached to a man, right? That
Sure.
the role was you find someone and that's how you're safe. That's how you provide safety. So you being in the spotlight or having the fancier car than everyone else or getting the promotion and the title puts you at risk in a lot of our subconscious minds. Or if your family unit, in this particular example, she was even telling me today, like family members saying to her, "Oh, you think you're such big stuff because you have this
Mm-hmm.
house," or "Who do you think you are that you have this? Well, that doesn't make you better." Just these negative connotations with her becoming more. So the ticket she gave herself to allow herself to receive at a higher level was if I sacrifice myself to such a level that it's painful, then it's okay for me to receive that amount of money. But I
Right.
can't, without the sacrifice, allow myself to just believe that I'm worth it, that I'm just worth it because I'm really that cool. She's really that cool, for the record. And she's really worth it. I mean, she's an amazing human being. And so, but there's this uh deep-seated, like you said, and it could go back generations and
Sure.
generations, that is like
Sure.
hardwired into us.
Yeah,
Um,
so the I have to work really hard is absolutely a mistaken belief.
mhm.
Um, and another part of that same reality is I can get by with very little, and I'm so
Mm,
proud of myself. I think a lot of people grow up, if they grow up lower middle class or poor, they saw people around them, you know, fixing things, repairing things, working with things that weren't the ideal thing, but then they're like, oh, that cake worked out. That I'm, canning all the things for the winter for later. I'm sewing all my own clothes or whatever it is you grew up with, where people were scrappy and making
mm.
stuff work. And so there's a part of like, if I could just get by with a little bit, aren't I so proud of myself?
Celebrating
That's,
poverty or celebrating
yeah,
the
yeah,
scarcity is a
yeah.
definite mindset of under earners. And it's we talk I talk a lot too about how like um there are people who work very little and earn very little. There are people who work a lot. Some of the hardest working people who work the most hours earn very little.
Yeah.
You know, there are people who work a lot and earn a lot, and there are people who work a little and earn a lot. There are all different paths. We have like evidence. You can go out into the world and find people in each of those categories. So I do think there's something interesting to that. Like, well, pick the category you want. If there's a choice, if we know that you have options.
I want to go into that work very little, make a lot.
Hmm.
Um, although I also realized recently that I grew up with the reality that naps, unless you're a child, are bad.
Oh, that was a story you were told?
Hmm. My father told me when he was almost dead, he was ill, and once a week I would go cook food for them. And he said, I'm really tired. I think I have to take a nap. And I'm like, go ahead and take a nap, Dad. I'll be here for a couple hours. And he said, it seems wrong to sleep during the day.
Mm,
And I thought, oh, I didn't even know I had that
wow.
belief. but
What a
obviously
deep-seated to be
it
at that
seems
stage of life
wrong.
and still.
Yeah, he's sick, so sick he's too tired to stay awake during the day, but it seemed wrong. He also believed that it wasn't okay to take a nap with your clothes on. So
Mm,
he took all his clothes off and got into bed and then put all his clothes
interesting.
back on, which when you're really ill, that's a big endeavor, just getting dressed or undressed. So,
Hmm.
and I read once an article about a woman who said, naps are in my family history. Every time we go on family vacation, you look around in the afternoon and we're napping on chairs, on the floor, on the couch, on the hammock. We're a napping family. And I thought, what? A
Mm,
napping family?
mm,
How fun is that? So I've lately given myself permission to nap during the
mm.
day and
Yeah.
also heard myself say, are you sure it's okay to nap?
Mhm.
It's the middle of the day. Shouldn't you be doing some work?
Well, imagine that. That's a great example of when we employ a survival mechanism past the point of needing it, it becomes
Yeah,
detrimental, right? So
yeah,
your dad, for example, like he no longer, maybe at a point, working hard all day helped him survive.
yeah,
But
yeah.
at this point, it's past the point of needing that. And then it
But
becomes
that's still there.
detrimental because he can't.
Yeah,
And so it's similar to like, um, I see this a lot in entrepreneurs too, where the level of energy and effort it takes to get a business off the ground, if you continue to work in that way and at that pace past the point of it being off the ground, it becomes detrimental. And you will become
sure.
the limiting factor to the growth of your business. It's like an airplane where it takes a lot of fuel to get it off the ground. But if you keep burning that level of fuel once you've reached cruising altitude, you will burn out and crash. And it's
Right.
very similar. And so it's that same idea of like the thing that helped you survive at some point, um, recognizing, oh, that's no longer serving me and choosing a different path.
And when you help women figure this out,
Hmm.
you have to dig down underneath whatever they're doing that isn't serving them anymore
Hmm.
to find the mistaken belief that they still believe, that they don't even know they believe, that's keeping
Yep.
them stuck.
Yep.
Mm,
Money, money is a big one for women.
yeah.
It is much easier for most women to continue to struggle financially than for them to accept that they are worth more.
Mm,
I had someone yesterday break down in tears on our call because she was going to have a call with a potential client who was going to pay her more than she's ever earned for that amount of output. And
and it was freaking her out.
it was doing something that she's so good at, and it's her
Yeah.
natural genius, and it feels so easy to her. And so the thought of someone paying her that much to do the thing that felt that easy to her, even though it's very rare and very valuable, I mean, she was having a hard time even like talking. She was just crying because it was
Mm,
bringing up so much in her of, am I worth it? Can I ask that? Is this okay? Do I really have that much to contribute? Am I allowed to receive that amount of money back for what I'm giving? um, it was a really profound moment because it was just this realization of like, it's much harder for her to accept getting paid way more than it is for her to continue to work like she has been for pennies for what she's been giving it away for free.
yes. Yes. I once did this somatic exercise in a big group of people. There were probably,
Mm,
I don't know, 150 people in this room, and we matched up with somebody, and the exercise was to close your eyes and hold hands and imagine that one of you was giving energy, love to the
mm,
other person, and that one person was accepting it. And then
mm,
you switched, and then you talked about what it was like. And I was like, ooh, so easy for most of the women in that situation to
to
give,
give.
and very, very difficult. In fact, a lot of tears came up for people when they were on the receiving side of it.
Hmm.
They're like, they wanted, even in this exercise with a total freaking stranger, it's the same thing as your client. Like,
Yeah.
can I receive this? Am I good
Mm,
at receiving? Because if you're not, if you're only good at giving and you're not good at receiving, there's a block in the energetic way the world works.
absolutely. And think about how many ways women are conditioned to not receive, even the messages we get around food.
Oh
We're not,
yeah, don't eat that. You should be on a diet. What the?
thank you. Not trusting our intuition about what we're hungry for or what tastes good or how much we can and should eat or but like that's a form of receiving into our bodies, right? We're putting
Yes.
something into our bodies and relishing it, like not just doing it, but like enjoying it and like savoring it and craving it and then like feeding the craving, right? There's something to that receiving also where we've overridden our intuition so many times that we can't access it. We don't even know what it is that we want, or we can't allow ourselves to receive. It's really fascinating.
So
That's a
mostly you work
really,
with women,
I do. Yeah.
and I'm sure the same things come up for all these different women in all these different situations.
Yep. They
Like,
have a hard time. And I always say, like, yeah, when you stifle your intuition in one area, you lose access to it in all of the others.
mm,
So, if, for example, in the case of my client, she stifled her intuition for so long about, I shouldn't have to be parenting my siblings. That's her intuition was saying, like, this isn't okay, but she had to override it, override, override, override. Well, then when you're 30 years later and your body is telling you, I'm tired, I'm done. The work day is done. I'm not going to contribute anymore here. She's still overriding that and not listening to it. And she's continuing to work, right? Or it will use food as an example too, where our bodies will tell us when we're hungry and when we're full if we're in tune with our intuition. They'll tell us what we're hungry for. They'll tell us when, what we need. And but we've overridden our intuition in so many other ways for so long that we don't even have access to that intuitive knowing. So then all decisions about food are coming from our minds. And by the end of the day, we're exhausted and we don't make great decisions. We don't
yeah,
we're meant to like listen to our bodies, not make the decisions with our heads around some of those things, even
yeah.
about work and how much is enough to work. But we lose access because that intuitive knowing is very quiet. It's very soft. It's very much like you've got to access it. You have to learn what it sounds like and what it feels like. It's not screaming at you.
Have you heard the concept that 10 times is easier than doubling things in your business? I think there's a book out called 10X.
I have. It's actually in my pile right now, and for some reason I keep avoiding it. Have you read it?
I haven't read it. I've been told I should read it, and it's a beautiful idea. And I'm thinking about your woman who's like suddenly going to attract people who pay her a lot of money for
Mm,
what she's like, oh, is it worth it? Like, what if she gets 10 times as much? What if she charges 10 times as much as she thought she should charge? And then it's just like so much easier to do all the hard work that she used to do for free for 10 times as much as what she used to charge. But yeah, that
yeah.
whole concept that especially if you believe you can work hard and work hard,
Mhm.
work hard, work hard, keep pushing, even if you're tired and exhausted, and
Mm,
just keep doing it. For those people to go, well, what if I think what happens is it cracks your mind open that you don't have any idea how to do 10 times that much. And you can't imagine that you could do it by working hard.
yeah.
So it's going to blow your mind open to some other way of doing it that wouldn't
Yeah.
be hard. And then you slip into that, I'm not working hard, but I'm making a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah. And what do I have to believe about myself to charge 10 times more?
Yeah.
right? Like, who do I have to believe I am? And then what would that free up? And what would that mean? And then how would I move through the world if I believe that? And what that's in my life right now would I no longer allow to be in my life if I believed I was worth that much?
Yeah.
Right? Like it
Yeah,
leads to a
exactly.
whole chain of questions for me just instantly, even just personally, right? That I think
Yeah. Yeah.
through
If you
like,
did 10x, if you did the 10x,
yeah.
what would you let go of? Because you couldn't keep doing it the way you're doing it. It'd have to be totally different.
Yeah, and it would be disruptive to systems that are in place, and it would be disruptive to relationships that are in place, and it would be disruptive to current, I mean, agreements, and um, there would be a whole bunch of realigning that would need to happen. It's just an interesting thought.
It is.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is. And yeah, I'm in a group where we have been meeting for 3 years plus, once a week, mastermind group of coaches. And it started out being 10 coaches, but then once people get really busy and successful, they don't come to the mastermind anymore. So the people
Mm,
that are left are like, how'd you do this week? How'd you do this week? I was like, wow, we got to ramp this up, people, or blow up the mastermind because here we are helping each other, but not really watching each other
mm,
fly. Um, Although
hmm,
one of the people who's really super busy right now is going to come back and tell the tale of how she did it and what's working for her. We do share this and that, but I also think, and you probably help your people, like who are your 7 people that you hang around with?
mhm.
Are they the people that are lifting you up or keeping you in this unconscious, subconscious, limiting world?
Yeah. I also think it's easy sometimes when you're in certain groups to undervalue your natural genius because everyone else is.
Mm,
So, like, I worked in a professional context for a long time where I gave away a lot of the things that I do now and charge a lot of money for.
mm-hmm.
And I gave it away for free for a long time. And that I got a lot of praise for it and a lot of like social capital, a lot of gratitude and thank yous. And I helped a lot of people, but I didn't get paid for it. And so when I stepped outside of that and I started to charge for it, there was a harsh, swift backlash from the
Like,
people.
wait, whoa, wait, you won't just help me for free anymore? Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, a lot of feedback and a lot of feedback from other people who were also giving away their natural genius for free.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I recently had a conversation with someone who is like still in that context a little bit, and she said, "Oh, I got on your website and I looked at your prices." And she said, "Do people really pay you that much?" And I said, the first thing that
uh,
came to my mind, I said, actually, what I'll tell you is that I've learned I'm worth that much.
mm.
And then, yes, they do.
Yeah, yeah, that's my
But first, I
price.
had to believe I was worth that much. I had to understand my own value in a new way. I had to redefine that in my head, or else I was never going to create that level of income.
Yes, I think in one of the groups I'm in right now, which has people at a very high level of doing business and then people learning. Um, the question was asked the other day, like, is it what you're doing? Do you think it's what you're doing and you're reaching out? Or do you think it's a mindset
Mm,
block? And I remember thinking, wow, wait, here we are every week saying, do this and do that, say this and say that, don't do this other thing until you do this thing first, yada, yada, yada. And we're doing all the things. And this woman's like, I'm doing all the things, I'm doing all the things, and I'm doing, wait, but maybe it is a mindset block.
mhm. I think it almost always, I think it, I mean, always is a strong word. And I'm not suggesting that there's no millimeter steps that need to be taken.
Yeah.
But I've seen a lot of people take a lot of millimeter steps and not get outcomes because of their mindset.
Sure. Yeah. You could be
Hmm.
saying all the right things on social media. You could be putting all the right things in your blog, in your podcast, in your newsletters, and whatever it is.
Yep.
But if you don't believe it, if you don't believe you deserve it, you will not notice
Mhm.
when it's coming towards you, or you'll sabotage it.
100%. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of people move from an employee kind of role into an entrepreneurial space, and they
Yeah.
figure out how to make the exact amount of money that they were making as an employee, and they stay there. And there's like this threshold where they never go over what they earned as an employee. And
Yeah, you know,
I've
you know,
seen them
Gay
like,
and Katie Hendricks,
yeah,
Gay Hendricks, he
I
wrote a
do.
book called The Upper Limit, I think.
Yes,
It's all
I
about that.
interviewed him.
Yeah, he's cool.
Very cool. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, he's cool. So that, when you get to this
Mhm.
income, then that's all you
Yeah.
need
It's what you will
subconsciously.
allow yourself to receive.
Yeah,
Hmm. It's
yeah, wow.
fascinating.
It is fascinating. And then when you
Hmm.
have to believe something else about yourself to crack that open.
Yeah. And I don't know that you ever get done. I think
I
it's,
think, well, and then there's another level that you
hmm,
believe.
yeah.
And then it's like, oh, what if could I really get more than that? Could I really believe that I could have 10 times that much? Because at a certain point, what was it? One of my friends said, you should imagine amount of money. She was doing a prosperity class for a bunch of real estate brokers. Imagine some amount of money that makes you want to throw up when you think about it.
Hmm.
That's how much you should
Hmm.
put in that you want to make. It's
Hmm.
going to make you so uncomfortable, you'll feel queasy.
Mm.
It's like, ooh, I don't want to feel queasy. But when you
Hmm.
get to that, imagining that amount, that you're not in alignment with it when you don't feel well thinking about it.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So when people work with you, how long do they normally spend
Um, I work with
time-wise?
people in small groups or one-on-one. My
Mhm.
small groups are like a school semester. So they are in the
Okay.
fall and in the spring, and we start like in September and end in December. And then we start in
Mhm.
February and end in May. And then my one-on-one engagements typically are about 6 months. We do 12 sessions. So usually it's
Mhm.
every 2 weeks, but it generally takes 6 to 7 months with a holiday or a vacation in there.
Yeah.
And we use the same curriculum. I use an assessment tool called the Habit Finder that is like a snapshot of your subconscious habits of thinking. So this is not habits like getting up and making your bed. It's not that. It's what are the underlying grooves in your brain that your mind is traveling when you're not even aware, that are creating patterns in your relationships, in your ability to see work through from start to finish, in your ability to embrace structure, just in your work itself and in your creative process. What are those habits of thinking where you have high risk of falling down certain patterns of thinking that are creating resistance to your progress?
Mm.
And so we use that assessment tool and then the curriculum to really dig into becoming aware, giving language to these habits of thinking so that you can actually make a different choice, and really working at the very slow, deliberate process of choosing a different thought consciously and not just going down that same groove that you've traveled so many times.
Yeah. Yeah. And choosing, that's always the biggest thing to remember
Mhm.
is when you're in that habitual pattern and you notice it, you go, whoa, right then in that moment is when you get to choose a new thought.
There it is. Mhm. Yeah. When you,
But you have to notice you're doing it.
we call that sitting in the observer's chair. When
Yeah.
you're able to like step back and observe yourself and say, oh, I'm having a very strong reaction to this. And
Yeah.
I wonder what's going on. I'm curious why I'm resisting this structure that I know is going to help me grow my business, but I'm just not doing it. Or, oh, that's interesting that that person's critique of my idea felt so painful. I wonder what's
Mm-hmm.
going on there. I'm observing myself and I'm able to like articulate and say, I'm having a strong reaction. Then I at least can be curious about it and sort of explore like, oh, I wonder what's going on there. And then we can start to put language to it and maybe pick a different thought habit.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. There's a technique that I learned where you will notice in your body maybe first that you're having a thought that isn't in
Mhm.
alignment with who you want to be. So you'd be like, maybe you've got a stomach ache or a headache, or and then you're like, oh, what? You could stop yourself right then. What was I just thinking? Or what was I
Yep.
just telling myself? And in this case, in the observer's chair, maybe you're walking, you stop, stomp your feet, say, I'm
Mm,
bigger than this. I'm a whatever child of the universe. Turn around, think a new thought, say it,
mm.
and walk. So you're actually somatically interrupting
Oh, that's
the
interesting
process.
because we similarly, very similarly, I teach the only way to disrupt some of these habits of thinking. There are three things: talking out loud to yourself, which you just
Yeah.
did, right? Physical movement, so dance, exercise, even like just taking your hands and saying like tomahawk, like stop,
Yes.
enough, right? Like
Chop that
enough.
fat.
But you
Yeah.
did like the I'm turning around, like there's a
Yeah.
physical movement. And then the third one is music. That
Music.
music
Yeah.
can disrupt subconscious habits of thinking and give you a fighting chance to even like choose a different thought. You can disrupt that pattern.
Love it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because I think a lot of people say, oh, you have a negative thought or you have this thought pattern and you should stop it.
It's not
But
that
we're not
easy.
taught how to do that. We're not taught how
Mm-mm.
to do that in school. We're not taught how to do that in graduate school. I mean,
Yeah.
people like you and um, me and all the people that are helping people with their mindset we're the guides.
Yeah. And I don't think we see ourselves clearly. I think we're designed to live in community with other human beings who do see us
Yeah,
and who can
yeah,
um, provide that relational experience in which real sustainable change happens. I've never seen someone create sustainable life change outside of relationship with another person or community.
yeah,
We're not meant to be alone and isolated. We're meant to be interacting
yeah,
and we're meant to be creating together, right? We're meant to be
100%. Yeah,
collaborative and connected.
yeah.
So,
So other people can see us and guide us and help us.
yeah, yeah. Plus,
Yeah,
it's more fun to like create and grow together,
true.
you know.
Yeah, so
Reminds me of
true.
the movie Avatar, where they would plug their tail into the tree of life.
I love
We're
that.
meant to be connected to one
Yeah,
another.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. We'll tell people how they can find you. And of
mm,
course, we'll put all this in the show notes.
sure. A couple of places. One, I just published my first book a year ago. It's called I See You, and it's a guide for women who want more influence, impact, and income without more work.
Yay.
I designed it to feel like a foyer of my home, meaning you can step in and look around and see if it's a place you want to visit. Uh, but it also gives you a taste of the work I do. The core message of the book is that you can't outwork your thought habits. So it's kind of a starter point. I also would invite everyone to visit my website, which is amykemp.com. And you can take the habit finder there for free. It's just a fun tool. You get your results right away. Part of what we struggle with is even knowing what the subconscious patterns of thinking are. And this is a tool that will tell you right away. So it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to take it, and you'll get an email with the report with all of the results of each of the 6 areas. So it's fascinating. So those are probably the 2 places. And then finally, I just invite you to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Amy Kemp Inc. So INC at the end of my name. But I love to have people join the community there.
Oh, sweet. Amy, it's been such a pleasure to talk to you. And now I'm gonna go take that assessment.
Mm,
That sounds cool.
I love it. You'll find it fascinating, I can tell.
That sounds so cool. And thank you
Mm,
for being a guest. I really appreciate you.
thanks so much, Lisa.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.